This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus has movies. So many movies. The movies you've seen 1,000 times and could watch 1,000 more. Iconic movies your friends can't believe you haven't seen. New movies, classic movies, new takes on classic movies. So whether you're into Top Gun or The Naked Gun, Mean Girls or Mission Impossible, Smurfs or Sonic the Hedgehog, there's a mountain of movies to discover on Paramount Plus. Start streaming today.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
Well, good. Welcome to Thursday. It is Stephen Rothberg. I'm one of the co-hosts of the High Volume Hiring podcast. Welcome to episode 65. I am joined here today by my awesome co-host Jeanette Leeds, but we also have a little bit of a change or an enhancement, I guess you can call it. Our friends at Itabu reached out to us and wanted to know if they could help out with the podcast. They do job distribution, integration between employer ATS CRMs, and also pretty much every major job board out there. So a lot of their clients do a lot of high volume hiring. I think you could probably get the connection, but Jeanette, why don't you tell viewers a little bit about yourself and then introduce our Dutch friend?
Wonderful. So for those who don't know me, co-host of this wonderful podcast, I'm Jeanette Leeds. I don't know what I am these days. I'm a HR tech entrepreneur, AI evangelist, talent acquisition, high volume expert, sort of all the above. Been doing this for almost 25 years. So we are thrilled today. I know younger than I am. So we're thrilled today because we have Vas here with us. And he, for those who don't know, he is the co-author of a new book called The Talent Acquisition Excellence Book. He's also the founder of Digital Varen. I think I pronounced that right. Maybe not. You can correct me.
Better than me.
I know. Possibly one of the largest corporate career sites for research in the world. So we're so happy to have you here. Boss, welcome. Tell me how bad I mispronounced your company.
It's close enough. It's officially pronounced digitaal werven, which literally means digital recruiting in the Netherlands, which basically tells you how long I've been at this. This was from the time when we actually had to convince people to go digital.
At least it's not like e-recruiting, because that's like...
No, but that came after digital recruiting, right?
Really?
E-recruiting was actually after we started on the digital trend, and I just never decided to change the name.
I like it. Well, it works.
About a decade ago, I went to an entire 2-day conference that was entirely about mobile recruiting.
Yes.
And how it was going to change things. So it was even before there was much mobile. But anyway, sorry for interrupting, Jeanette.
Yeah. I'm like having a blast when the password would be like the mobile social recruiting conferences that happened many, many years ago. At any rate, today, on today's episode, it's all about stories. Like it's basically story time with Boss and high volume recruiting. So maybe you could share, we were talking beforehand, some amazing, interesting stories of things that are going on in the high volume world in the Netherlands. And we could just, tell us a story.
Well, one of the most interesting one that's actually going on right now, and they're presenting at my Digitaal Werven event in October, but I've got the preview already, is basically a major Dutch drug chain called Kruidvat, which is the Dutch version of Walgreens probably, has now get hired together with your BFF. Basically what they figured out, and I've learned that this was a Friday afternoon, having drinks, kind of idea, which then they put into action, and is now actually a very extremely successful campaign. I mean, we have enormous worker shortages here, and they just can't find the workers. And they said, what is the number one reason probably 14 and 15-year-old girls don't apply at our stores? Well, they're scared for their first job. What does it look like? Where am I going to?
Yeah.
So they basically said, we don't have a single store which doesn't have two open job positions anywhere. So why don't we allow them to actually apply together with their best friend? And hey, we all of a sudden got 2 applicants for the price of 1, because one of them wants to work and she convinces her best friend to also want to come and work for us. And we promise we'll either hire you both or we won't hire you. And basically they hired them both.
Yeah. I mean, that's so brilliant, because as you know, I have a 13, almost 14-year-old daughter who's going on, I don't know how old she's, like, really. Story for another day.
Well, she's making you 87. That's all that really matters.
She is.
I'm sure she's awesome.
But it's like, she really is. But like, there is a thing where it's like socially the girl, it's like she wants to do stuff with her friend, you know, and so whether I see that even with sports and doing so having some connectivity there of like that extra security blanket, that's so brilliant. And then I would imagine also it's more likely, okay, how do you get, if you can't drive, or how do you get somewhere, right? Like, because I'm in like the land of like Uber mom.
Yeah,
like,
no, there's no.
so many things. So many
Listen, we're in the Netherlands, so basically, literally from my house, there isn't a place I can't reach in 2.5 hours. If I drive for 2 hours west, I'm in the North Sea. If I drive for 2 hours east, I'm in Germany. You know, and in my village alone, we've got 1 or 2 of those stores. I mean, this is a drug chain which is by definition within 10 minutes by bike of your house.
It's amazing.
So no, there is no issue getting there.
No Uber mom needed.
But it's more on, can we first of all, how do we reach a lot more people? Basically, it's referral at application.
Referral at application.
And how do we lower the bar, the risk for applying, you know? And why would somebody apply for us? Because everybody's paying minimum wage, which for a 14-year-old is crap, because we have a minimum wage based on your age. You know, 21 is the official minimum wage, and then it goes down with percentages, which is complete and total nonsense. I refuse to pay minimum youth wage. I've now got a few students working for me who all love me because I pay over normal minimum wage, which for them is a lot better. And I'm like, yeah, you're doing the same work as everybody. So anyway, but that's a different story.
So boss, I've got a question for you. I'm trying to think about it mechanically. So Jeanette's daughter, whatever, goes to the store's career site and she's applying. I would assume that her application is just for her. How do they tie that together with the application from her friend?
Not by definition. You're able to apply yourself, or they actually have a separate section. They had to construct that technically. You say, and I'm applying with my BFF, and yes, she agreed to, or in their case, almost she, because it's a drug store with lots of makeup. So
I was just thinking discounts as well. Like, it's just,
that's actually one of their main selling points, a 10% discount or a 20% discount on makeup. But she's then in the application form, which is basically your name, your phone number, and your email address and your age. And that's all we need to know, because let's be honest.
Right. That it's like, you don't need a resume. You don't even experience these roles. It's like,
hey, 14-year-old has a resume.
Right. Exactly.
I mean,
if you're
make sure they're like excited about it, and they're more likely to be excited about to work.
If it's an entry level role, pretty much by definition, you don't have anything on your resume that's worth looking at. It's
babysitting gigs.
Which is great.
But let's be honest, Stephen. I actually, for many jobs, a resume is technically almost always crap, but for many jobs, it's the most useless thing there is. I was actually working in the local city where we also had our own garbage man, and I asked the head of HR for that department, like, what are you looking for in a resume to select if somebody can be a garbage man?
Leading a growing business, it's like building a plane while flying it. Team building, decision making, and scaling all at once. At CPO Playbook, we get it. That's why our podcast, ranked in the top 10% worldwide, tackles the toughest leadership challenges with insights to help you lead smarter and grow faster. Tune into the CPO Playbook podcast because leadership doesn't come with a manual, but we're pretty close.
She's like, yeah, good question. I'm like, shall we get rid of it? Because I probably expect us, high volume hiring, to get more people in as potential garbage men if they don't have to go through the standard ATS, which was a bugger, and then we had to buy a new ATS, but I was kind of looking for an excuse to ditch this one anyway, and everybody agreed with us. So we bought a new ATS, and literally the very first selection point in the request for proposal was, are we able to make the resume optional? Funnily enough, the American vendor who wanted to come first was, no, all right, sorry, you're not. But that's the difference there.
For high volume, it is not needed for so many jobs. To me, the only question is, we need a resume. Like, can you lift garbage for 8 hours? Like, are you how's your core muscles, right? That's what matters. That's all that matters, right?
And this is actually, interestingly enough, we're talking about different cases. The same company, the same Kruidvat, actually had an open hiring last year or 2 years ago, where they said, so not for our shops, but for our distribution centers. Yeah. Basically, the only requirement we have is showing up.
Yeah.
The no-show was
right.
So they said, you know what? We've got an open hiring on Saturday from 9 to 1. If you show up, the job's yours.
You have a job. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, boss, quick question for you. I'm sorry for blocking you out, Jeanette. Are these stories? Did you reference them in the book that you just published with Kevin Wheeler?
Some of them I have. Some of them are too new. Okay. So yeah, there are case studies in there. A few on high volume. Not that many, to be honest, because we try to make it as global as we possibly could. And the thing with high volume markets is that the market difference is actually so big between many markets. I mean, in the Netherlands, it's really, really difficult to find people. In Spain, they still got a 30% youth unemployment. It's really easy to find people.
Oh, that's so interesting. I didn't know that about Spain. I feel like US here, we're still having this labor shortage.
So I think we have time for one more question. Jeanette, do you want to take it?
Yes. Okay. So tell us another story, because I'm loving the stories that, I don't know, maybe it's not in the book around high volume.
A really cool selection story was actually from the Dutch Post, who at some point found out that their delivery drivers, so the package delivery drivers, one of their criteria for quality is not making too many accidents with the vans, because that costs a lot of money, and then your insurance premiums go up and stuff like that. So, and they found out, they already knew that experience with driving actually lowers the number of accidents the drivers make significantly. Yeah. However, they then by accident found that there were different ways that different depots, because it was very decentralized, were measuring the way they were measuring experience with driving. Some were doing it number of years you've had your driver's license. Others were doing it number of kilometers you've driven the last year. Turns out the second one was much more predictive of not getting into an accident, because you can have your driver's license for 10 years, but if you don't own a car, which is actually very common. I know Americans can't understand not having a car, but we have trains and buses which actually get you to places. So most of my friends don't have cars.
Trains, buses. What are these things?
That's amazing.
The thing you have in a country where you don't have internal flights anymore because you can get everywhere in 2 hours by car.
Right. You
Anyway.
don't need that. But that's fascinating because it's like, okay, what's the metric? But how do you calculate it, right? And unless it's so defined, and then you figure out, and we all know you can play with the numbers, right? Okay, we're going to look at it this way. No, that's not going to be predictive. But looking at drilling down, like, what is it? Okay, how often are you driving, and what percentage are you a good driver when you drive? Like, that's the core metric. That makes sense. But I love that. But if you're looking at it in the wrong way and you're not consistent across,
well, the funny thing was they actually thought they were consistent across, but the local hiring managers never really understood what they were supposed to ask. And then they found out that there were different ways of asking. They saw that one depot was having a lot less traffic accidents than the other one, or a few of them. And then they were digging into the data, like, how can this be? And why are you selecting better drivers than the other person? And they found out that they actually were asking the question different. And now they've implemented the chatbot, which is asking everybody the same question. They got rid of the resume.
Same way. It's all consistent.
Because let's be very honest, for a driver, the only thing you want to know is, do you have a driver's license?
Yeah.
Are you willing to work the hours that we need you to work? And in their case, how many kilometers have you driven over the last year? Well, that's a chatbot. That's not a resume.
Yeah. That's not. Yeah, that's like, you talk about like skills-based hiring. I mean, it's a skill, like, right? Like, to have your license is a skill because you need to know how to drive, right? Like, how often are you driving? And effectively, it's getting to the safety. Like, are you a safe driver? So how do you get to that in a very fact-based way? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, this is awesome. Boss, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's getting late for you. Jeanette, another super fun, informative episode. My takeaway, and I think the viewers should chime into the comments and let us know if they agree. My takeaway is that when you're hiring 14-year-olds to drive for the post office, that you hire them in pairs. I think that's my lesson.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
hire with your BFF. What's the phrase that it's called again?
Hire with your BFF.
Hire with your BFF.
We stole the BFF term in Dutch. We don't have a Dutch term, so we just steal the American term.
I love that so much.
The Dutch, either everybody's their best friend, and so they don't say it, or nobody's their best friend, so they also don't say it. That's another podcast. Boss, thank you so much, Jeanette.
Thank you. Always.
Awesome. Cheers.
Have a great rest of Thursday, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.